There's a common misconception that your metabolism is something you're stuck with. You're either one of those guys who can eat 4,000 calories a day, basically eat whatever they want and stay lean, or you got dealt the card of the slow metabolism, meaning you need to diet on, let's say, 1,500 calories a day, which was the camp I thought I was a part of basically all my life. But in reality, your metabolism isn't some fixed number. It's highly adaptive. Your daily caloric burn shifts up and down based on your training, your nutrition, your sleep, energy balance, even how much you move without thinking about it. And I can safely assume almost everybody listening to this wants the same thing: to be able to stay lean while eating more food, to have a faster metabolism, because that means three things. Maintaining a lean body composition is far easier. You're able to diet on a good amount of calories, so losing body fat becomes a breeze. And the process is way more enjoyable. You can actually eat a decent amount of food, which then fuels your training, helps you build more muscle, and keeps you feeling quite awesome. Which, if you've ever been deep into a diet, months upon months of low calories, you know how brutal it can get. Hunger through the roof, leptin, your satiety hormone not kicking in, ghrelin, your hunger hormone, is way up. Constant food noise, your training tanks, your sleep gets worse, fatigue is high, and fat loss feels, well, not so fun. Now, that usually happens because of two things. One, either a poorly managed fat loss phase with no attention to fatigue management, or because your maintenance calories, your caloric set point, was just way too low to begin the diet. You simply were not in a position to actually enter a fat loss phase. When you started your diet, you don't have room to cut further, so you could basically never reach your goal. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly how to increase your metabolism so you can eat more while staying lean, or eat more while getting lean. So we're going to cover the role of muscle mass, which is the foundation of a faster metabolism, why you need to spend time in a surplus, and how to actually do it properly to minimize fat gain. Then the lifestyle levers we can pull on, like sleep and NEAT. And finally, the details most people overlook, which I find very interesting and will have a major impact on your metabolism, like mitochondrial health, your hormonal profile, and micronutrient status, that can all play a massive role in your metabolism. Starting with muscle, one of the biggest levers we have to speed up our metabolism, because muscle is actually a metabolically active tissue. A pound of muscle burns 6 calories per day at rest, which doesn't sound like much, 6 calories, but you scale that out. Say you add 20 to 30 pounds of muscle over 3-4 years of lifting, you're burning an extra 150 to 200 calories a day, doing absolutely nothing. But muscle also doesn't just increase resting metabolic rate. Muscle improves how your body handles glucose. It improves insulin sensitivity and directs nutrients towards muscle rather than fat, which means not only do you burn more calories at rest, but the calories you are eating are used more efficiently. So the first and most reliable way to increase your metabolism: build muscle, which leads to the next question. How do you actually put yourself in the best position to do that? And here's where most people often screw this up. I often see two scenarios. Someone either lives in a permanent chronic diet phase, keeping calories low, or when they finally try to eat more, they overshoot, jumping from 2,000 to 3,000 calories overnight, dirty bulking, end up packing on a ton of unnecessary fat. And yes, your body will eventually adapt to whatever intake you give it, but the real question is, how much fat do you accrue in that process above and beyond what's actually needed to recover and build muscle? And that's where guys go wrong. Within a few weeks, they're already up 15, 20 pounds, most of it, if not all, just fluff, and then they've put themselves in a worse spot than where they started. So if you want to build muscle, raise your metabolism, and set yourself up for easier fat loss down the line, also just progress your physique, you absolutely need to spend time in a surplus, but that surplus doesn't need to be massive. In fact, the best results come from a small, controlled surplus, just enough calories to fuel muscle growth without spilling over into excess fat gain. So you want to think of it exactly like progressive overload in your training. If you can only bench a plate, you're not going to throw on 2 plates on the bar the next week. You add maybe 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and you apply progressive overload slowly over time. Nutrition works the exact same way. You add a couple hundred calories, watch the scale, watch your performance in the gym, and then slowly adjust over time. That's really how you milk every bit of progress without wrecking your body composition. Okay, Oscar, so how do you actually apply this? Well, we start by finding your maintenance calories. This is the amount you can eat right now without gaining or losing weight. Now, if you've been cutting, your maintenance may be lower than you think. So get a solid 1 to 2 weeks of consistent data before making adjustments. Then we add a small surplus, a 10% increase above your maintenance. Don't jump to add in 500 or 600 calories to your maintenance overnight. All we need is a 10% increase. Then track two key markers from there. Scale weight, we want to aim to gain around 0.25 to 0.5% of your body weight per week, and that's around half a pound if you're 160 pounds. So again, very, very small. And then performance in the gym. Your lifts should be trending up. If you're adding reps, adding weight, or improving your technique and progressing week to week, you're pretty much chilling. Then from there, we adjust in small increments. So if your weight and performance in the gym stall, that's when we add in another 100, maybe 200 calories, ideally from carbs, and we placing them around your training window first. Then we ride that change out until body weight and gym performance stall, and repeat. Add another 100, 200 calorie increase. This way, you're giving your body just what it needs to grow while allowing it to adapt and handle more food over time. Instead of blowing up and gaining a bunch of unnecessary body fat, you're steadily raising your metabolic ceiling. So 6 months down the road, you might be maintaining on 500 to 800 calories more than you were before. Number 3, the lifestyle levers we can pull on: sleep and NEAT. So on the lifestyle side of metabolism, this is where people underestimate quite significantly how much leverage they actually have. Two of the biggest drivers here: sleep and NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. When you're chronically underslept, your hunger and energy regulating hormones go completely out of balance. So leptin, the hormone that helps you feel full, it drops. Ghrelin, your hunger hormone, goes up. Cortisol rises, and growth hormone, one of the most anabolic and fat burning hormones we produce, is not going to be produced as optimally as it could be because it is closely linked to your circadian rhythm. And then that results in you feeling hungrier, you burn fewer calories, and your body actually becomes less efficient at using the calories you do eat. So over time, poor sleep will slow your metabolism, make both fat loss and muscle gain much harder, which in my opinion, quite the no-brainer. But on the flip side, when you consistently hit 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, your hormones then line up in your favor, you recover better, you build more muscle, your ability to regulate appetite improves, and you keep hormones like growth hormone maximized. And then next we have NEAT. So this is everything you burn outside of the gym. So walking, fidgeting, pacing on the phone, even standing instead of sitting, like bobbing your head, shaking your head. And NEAT can actually account for hundreds, if not thousands, of calories burned per day. Obviously, depending on the person, but there's even research showing that two people of the same size, same weight, and same workout program can differ by over 1,000 calories per day in energy expenditure just because one naturally moves more throughout the day, which, in my opinion, pretty wild. Now, the problem is when people diet or cut calories, NEAT often tanks subconsciously. You start to move less, you start to sit more, you stop fidgeting as much, and your caloric expenditure decreases without you even realizing it. And that's why I recommend a step target of 8 to 10,000 per day as a non-negotiable baseline. And when you combine higher NEAT with solid sleep, you're creating the perfect environment to speed up your metabolism, regulate your hormones, and make your surplus or fat loss phase much more effective. Number 4, mitochondrial health, hormones, and micronutrients. So the last lever here is kind of the under the hood stuff. Your mitochondria, your hormonal profile, and the micronutrients that keep everything running essentially. So first we got your mitochondria. They kind of dictate how efficiently you convert food into usable energy. So if your mitochondria are sluggish, dysregulated, your metabolism will reflect that. But on the flip side, if they're optimized, you will burn more, you will recover faster, you will feel like you can push harder in the gym, you'll have more energy. And the good news is you can actually build them up. Weight training, for one, stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis. Zone 2 cardio makes them more efficient. And then diet plays a big role as well. So eating antioxidant-rich foods like berries, greens, fatty fish as well for anti-inflammatory benefits and omega-3s can help protect them. And I mean, we could get into the peptides that optimize mitochondrial function, but I will save that for a later video. But you can even supplement with antioxidants like CoQ10, NAC, glutathione. But the basics are always training and diet first. Then you've got hormones. We already covered how sleep impacts leptin, ghrelin, cortisol, growth hormone. All of those tie directly into your ability to regulate energy. But another huge one is thyroid. Thyroid hormone, specifically T3, basically regulates your metabolism. If your thyroid output is down or suppressed, you will have a lower metabolic rate. Now, if it's optimized, you're going to start burning way more calories across the day. And this is where micronutrients tie into all of this. Selenium, iodine, and zinc, those are literally required for proper thyroid hormone production and conversion. So if you are deficient in any of them, you won't be producing adequate T3 or at least maximizing your thyroid output. There's even data showing a deficiency in zinc intake dropped basal metabolic rate quite significantly. And when zinc status was repleted to normal, the metabolism rebounded by hundreds of calories per day. And we could get into magnesium, which is involved over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, B vitamins, which are required for fat loss, and a whole host of other vitamins and minerals that will downstream impact your metabolism. So, to sum it up, to optimize your metabolism, we don't want any gaps in our micronutrient status. So we want to eat a whole food diet. We want to get your fruit and veg intake on point. I would highly suggest, if you're using MyFitnessPal right now, if you're tracking your food, switching to an app called Chronometer so you can see your micronutrient intake. It's basically, in my opinion, a better version of MyFitnessPal. Then, if you have gaps in your diet, you can then backfill with supplementation if need be. So that is exactly how you increase your metabolism while staying lean. Build muscle, spend time in a controlled surplus, slowly increasing your calories over time. Got to be patient with it. Dial in your lifestyle levers, of course, like sleep and neat. Then make sure your mitochondria, your hormones, and most importantly, your micronutrient status, which will kind of regulate all of that, are actually supporting the process rather than holding it back. If you found this helpful and you want to take it a step further, I've got a free 30-day transformation series. First link below. You'll get a training plan, your nutrition done for you, tips to fast track your results, take your physique, health, and performance to the next level. And if you're serious about coaching or you want to find out more information, you can inquire down below as well. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.